and a very massive erection that I introduce you to the next comedian because, my God, this man is fucking Thor with a scar all over his abs. Larry George, everybody.
Are we having a fucking good time or what? Don't I look like I always have a good time? You might notice there's a large tattoo on my throat. It says, "Trust Jesus." Now, don't think too highly. I mean, now that was a prison decision. While I was sitting in prison trying to decide what to let this nice, great, big Aryan Brotherhood gentleman tattoo on me, after he said, "Pick one," I got to thinking to myself, well, what's the most ironic tattoo I can have when I get to hell? Took a couple of you a minute to catch that, yeah. You know, I feel like there's going to be a whole section of us in hell with religious tattoos going, this is some bullshit. God damned me. I'll be down there, hey Dad, what are you doing? You don't have any tattoos. I run this section, son. Explains a lot. I knew that bitch you married after Mom was the devil. That's how you get that gig. Well, if you run this section like you ran the house, I'll see you on the weekends. It was my childhood. I can make fun of it. My dad is an interesting guy. I say is, I think he's still alive. He actually, he went to Bible school with, wait for it, Jim Jones. You know, the don't drink the Kool-Aid dude, right. He was also a member of the People's Temple here in Indianapolis in the late 50s until he realized this dude's fucking crazy and pulled out of the church instead of my mom, which is why I'm telling jokes now. But so I was raised without any type of religion allowed. Like I wasn't allowed to go to church. I wasn't allowed to have Easter, Christmas, Kool-Aid, none of it. I know we had plenty of Tang in the house. But no Kool-Aid. I think maybe he wanted me to be an astronaut. Sorry, Dad, let you down again. That's a true story. Let me just water out of my back pocket. I have been to prison. I've been to prison twice. I've married and divorced once. You know, some mistakes you only make once. Yeah, you learn interesting expressions in prison, too. Like, when you first get there, first night you hear, "You better lay on your back tonight or I will." Uh-oh. They always follow it with, "Well, don't worry, it's only gay if you push back." Don't worry, guys, I wasn't raped in prison. I have false teeth, I did fine. Now get that picture out of your head. You can't do it, it's stuck in there now. Yeah, prison. Prison sucks, I ain't gonna bullshit you. I also learned that you don't shower on Tuesdays and Thursdays in East Dorm at Plainfield Correctional Facility. Because that was old Mr. Johnson's time to shower. That wasn't his name, that was his description. Now, old Mr. Johnson was a 60-something-year-old black man with a cock that banged off his knees like a bell clanger. Clank, 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 clank. Everybody was worried about getting raped by him. Didn't bother me, I figured time he got that fucking thing hard, he'd have passed out from blood loss. Yeah, true story, true story. In the Indiana prison system, there was a legend of an inmate by the name of Big Panties. It's a true story. Big Panties was a large black man who allegedly liked to come up behind young, unsuspecting new inmates, knock them unconscious, and proceed to rape them. I didn't, no. Now, in my time in Indiana prison systems, I was never introduced to Big Panties, but my psyche will for always be scarred by his meeting of me. Do I need to wait on you? I can't. I got time. Yeah, fun stuff. Don't you love drunk people? I quit drinking. You know, after my divorce, I went out drinking one night for a couple of years, and I found it's not for me because that's when the felonies started. Yeah, I'm 4 deep now. Yeah, on probation. I know that one's shocking all of you. Yeah, I'm currently on probation. Hendricks County, it sucks. Sucks worse than a $2 whore on Sunday morning, I can tell you that.
Thanks for coming out.
And she's been busy.
Thanks for coming.
So yeah, I am divorced.
Oh, I know.
Almost 19 years. It's been
I understand.
almost 9 years happily. See, about 9 years ago, her now second ex-husband, he calls me up on the phone. He says, "Man, you're never gonna believe what this bitch did." Ha! Fucking try me.
I know.
I married her first, remember? He says, "Man, she's been cheating on me. She's gonna leave me." And when I stopped laughing, I was like, I waited 10 years for this, I told you so. And then he became one of my better weed dealers. I say better, but you'd think a dude that stole your wife and kids and knocked $5 off a sack every now and then. Expensive bastard. And we got parents. We got parents in the crowd. Kids. I have kids. Well, they're adults now, but still kids to me. My eldest is my daughter. She is 22 years old now. She was always one of the smart kids, straight A student, National Honor Society, 4 years marching band, even marched in the Rose Bowl parade. And she was, and they invited her. She didn't just jump in line like I would have. At the time she got to college, she had 17 scholarships, so her whole first year was completely paid for, and now she's Air Force intelligence. Just goes to show you. Thank you. It just goes to show you can drop them once. 8-month-olds are squirmy, and I caught her on the first bounce. I mean, no harm, no foul, really. She's only 5'1", but I don't think that was my fault. I also have a son, allegedly. I say allegedly because he's like 6 foot tall and 185 pounds and good looking, and I'm like, yeah, we need a DNA test on this fucker. He's a good kid. He's in the Navy now. So both my kids are serving. Yeah, give it up for the troops. And so his life has already come full circle. He began as a seaman, and here he is again. He's a good kid. He wanted to try comedy, and about 1.5 years or so ago, I was on house arrest. I know that's a shocker to you guys, but put on a show at my house for my birthday, I believe it was, or just to put on a show and get something to do because house arrest is boring, the most boring fucking thing you can do. And he wants to come on and try some jokes. I'm like, come on, please do, follow in your dad's footsteps, except for the prison part. And the marrying the stupid whore part. Wait, I gotta stop calling her a whore. I gotta stop calling her. I can't prove she ever got paid. Slut. So he wrote this joke. I have to give him full credit. This is my son's joke. He was 18 years old and he wrote this joke. He's 19 now. He says, I recently went to a high school party and had my first experience with a beer bong. I was so worried about it, but it ended up going down easier than my mom. He's mine. He's mine. Yeah, that's my boy. Yeah, until you marry her, and then she'll go down on everybody else. Ask his first stepdad or his second stepdad. So, another story about my son. When he was 13, I was at his first stepdad's house. I love saying it like that. Apartment, I should say. A caveat that it's an apartment because we had to smoke outside. And I'm sitting out on the front porch, smoking a cigarette, and he comes up to me and says, "Hey, man, this gorgeous," I don't want to call her out by her real name, so we'll use a pseudonym for her. This gorgeous redheaded stripper named Hennifer is, she's on her way over to come get some weed. I'm like, cool, love to look at her. And I tell my son, I'm like, hey man, beautiful redheaded stripper, she's on her way over. And at the time, my son had this firm belief that there was no such thing as a good-looking redhead, which broke my heart because redheads are like my kryptonite. They're the most gorgeous thing out there. And I told him, boy, you're gonna eat your words. She works at the high dollar strip club. They don't hire the uggos there. And sure enough, when she comes, she starts walking up the way, and he elbows me and goes, you're right, she's beautiful. I said, right, I told him, I'm not gonna lie to you about this. And she sits down next to me, and he's just like, there's like a card table over, he's sitting over here, and she wants to show me her new weed pipe, but she's worried about him being 13 years old. I said, I don't worry about it, he's seen much worse than whatever you're gonna pull out of that purse. I'm his dad, hello. And so she pulls out the pipe to show to me, and she looks at him and she goes, now you stay off the pipe. And without missing a beat, my then 13-year-old son looks at her and says, and you stay off the pole. Yeah, pretty sure he's mine. Yeah, he's a good kid, He messaged me the other day. They put him in fat camp in the Navy because he couldn't run 2 miles in 11 minutes and do 70 push-ups in was it 2 minutes. So, poor kid. He was always a chubby boy, but I have to give it up to him. When he graduated high school, he was about 6 foot tall, 245 pounds, and it took him about a year, but he got down to 185 so he could enlist in the Navy. So I'm real proud of him, and he's doing real well. He's a navigator on the USS America, so. And the favorite thing he likes to say is on the whatever that test is you have to take to get in the military, he scored higher than his sister. The ASVAB, that's it, yeah. He scored higher than her by like 2 points. That pissed her all the way off. I tried to prove she gets her brains from me by writing physics jokes, but the punchlines always end up theoretical. That joke's for me. I'm glad some of you liked it. I said, no, I do love my kids, and one of them loves me. So, 50%, I'm doing all right. Sorry. I often think, if the day my ex-wife came home and told me, see, this was 2 weeks before Christmas, '99. If the day she came home and told me she was cheating on me, going to leave me, if I had just killed her right then, I would already be out of prison, be employable, and probably have a good relationship with both my kids. So, hindsight, damn it, hindsight. So, I have Crohn's disease. It's a shitty disease. Pun totally intended, and I'm never going to stop doing that pun. In fact, 9 days ago, I actually had major surgery, had more of my bowels removed. They say it takes a lot of guts to get on stage on Living Proof. It doesn't take as many as you're born with. But in my 31 years of having Crohn's disease, I've heard about every euphemism you can think of for using the bathroom. Taking a shit, taking a dump, dropping the kids off at the pool, taking a piss, taking a leak, draining the lizard. They just go on and on and on. I think they're a bit old. I think they're a bit archaic, maybe even a little barbaric. I think it's time we moved our euphemisms into the digital age. It is 2019, after all. I propose from now on we start using logging out and streaming. Right? You wish you'd thought of it, if nothing else. Just think of your conversation at your buddy's house, right? Hey man, can I use your bathroom? Well, what are you doing? You logging out or you streaming? Because if you're logging out, I need you to use the upstairs with the spray and the plunger. Heard about that Crohn's disease. And I'm like, one walking fart clears off a school bus as a freshman, and you never hear the end of it. Ever. Yeah. Hospitals are fun. No, you don't go for rest. I just got out Friday, so if anybody's got any weed, find me later. I just had a drug test today, so I'm good for a few. And I hope my probation officer doesn't watch this video. I'm not going to share the video with my probation officer, don't worry about that. But people see the religious tattoos, they know I've gone to prison, and they often ask me the same question. Did you find God in prison? And I'm like, no, why? What'd he do? That first trial, they really crucified his ass, didn't they? His buddy snitch him out again. 30 pieces of silver doesn't go nearly as far anymore. Whole carpentry background came around to nail him in the end, didn't it? Yikes. I get to thinking if Jesus came back today, whoa, I'm glad you like that one so much. If he came back today, what would he think of some of our holidays? I like to use Halloween for an example because I don't think he'd like it. And it's not because of the paganistic aspects of Halloween. It's because every time he tries to grab a handful of candy corn, half of it just falls through. Now, how would you like to be the guy that has to explain M&Ms to him when he comes back, you know? They melt in your mouth, not in your, ooh. Never mind. Here, have a Snickers. You're not the same when you've been resurrected. Deepest Bible joke you'll ever hear right there. It might come as a revelation to some of you. I love that one. I actually pissed off a table of Christians one night with those jokes, so I added this one. You gotta think Jesus would get on the Instagram, the sponsorship bandwagon, you know, because I think he'd be missing a golden opportunity if Nike and Lego didn't get together and make him a strapless sandal he could just click onto. Click, click. He's got holes in his feet too. Oh boy. Do you ever give somebody a nickname they don't know about? There was a guy who grew up just outside my neighborhood when I was a kid, and his family boarded horses. They had a small farm, and they would board horses, and part of his job was to feed the horses, bathe the horses, you know, let them run around, all that good stuff. Well, he had a proclivity for, let's just say, we'll call it animal husbandry. He liked horses a little too much. And from the description of what somebody who has caught him doing this has told me specifically, he would tie them up like he was going to bathe them so they couldn't go forwards or backwards. And then he would hang from the rafters from behind the horses and fuck these horses until he got one that wasn't DFB, you know, down for bestiality. And it kicked the living shit out of him. He went all the way through the sidewall of the barn. And it was years before that dude was stable again. And that's a long way to go for a horse pun. That's an awful long way to go for a horse pun. Very, very long. Oh. So, I was a nerd as a kid. I don't know, that's probably a shocker to y'all there. But I like to read books, and not just because of prison, but well, I was still fairly young when we got pregnant with my daughter, and I read all those baby books, you know, What to Expect When You're Expecting, and the Dr. Spock, and all that. And I read in one of those books that said you should play music to the baby while it's in the womb. So I did that, but I think I played a little too much Led Zeppelin. Because when my daughter was born, the doc cleaned her out her mouth and slapped her on her little butt, and she went, ah! Ah! Oh, yeah. But I can do that joke. That's a little hard on the throat. That's what she said. Yeah, I'm not going to do too much more time for you and get your headliner up here. Before I get out of here, I got into comedy because of my Crohn's disease, actually. I spent a lot of time in Riley Hospital for Children as a teenager, and I watched comedy like almost exclusively, and I believe laughter is the best medicine, you know. I actually watched more comedy than I probably should have done my homework, which is why I now have a GED and a trade school education instead of a high school diploma and a college education. You know, hindsight again. But I said, one of these days I'm going to do that. I'm going to give back that laughter and that healing that I was given so much of. And I continue doing it now. I'm almost 5 years into this journey because I am so highly addicted to the laughter and the applause. And it's crowds like y'all. I gotta thank you for feeding my fucking addiction so well tonight. I gotta love Beach Grove, and as Hayden was talking about his girlfriend. She's a cute young girl, and I can't say too much bad about him. He's the one that got me on this show, and he bought me a grilled cheese sandwich tonight. So I guess I'll let him lick my asshole later. Just remember, you can't say hilarious without saying Larry. I'm Larry George. That's going to be my time tonight. Let's get your MC back up here.
Keep it going for Larry, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so I got specific instructions on what I'm supposed to do next, so I'm gonna fuck that all up as quick as I can. Anybody got a lighter?
Fantastic job, man. As always. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you, Brenda. Does anybody know Brenda out here? She used to be one of my bartenders when I owned a bar like somewhere around here. But she used to answer the phone for me. She'd go, Lucky's Pub. No, this ain't fucking Jay. God